Good evening, everybody, and welcome back to thy channel. Welcome back to Alma, Missouri. We've made it all the way into June, and hey, we're making hay bales. Thought you might enjoy the play on words there in the thumbnail and title. I want to see if I can blow the console bale limit and make over 200 bales tonight. Don't know if we're going to get that far. I zeroed out my bale counter so we can kind of keep track of where we are with that. I was saying during the pre-show that we're going to keep about 100 of those bales. Oh no, not 100. 48 bales, 2 loads off the trailer. And then we're going to sell the rest. I was also saying right before the intro roll was work had a 2-hour delay. I went in because we had some furniture being delivered that needed to be delivered today because we had a window of opportunity that we won't have again until the end of February. And by 8:30, news comes down that work's closed. So I hung around the office till noon, taking care of some things, and then came home. So I basically worked half a day. I would not be surprised if we are late opening tomorrow because we're supposed to get up to 3 more inches on the ground overnight. And well, around here, the way the weather swings to and fro between freezing and not freezing, it's treacherous. You know, 3 inches of snow when your high is in the low 20s, if that, and your lows are in single digits, it's less of a deal because it stays snow. But when your highs go to 38, 39 and your lows get down to 20s, well, that snow turns into water, which then freezes into ice. And it's not the type of ice you can really walk or drive on because it's not bumpy ice. It's flat ice. The slickest snot stuff. So, yep. It's a whole different ballgame. 2-year anniversary. Thank you for the 5 New Zealand super chat there. Yeah, they called off school tomorrow, like at 5:30 here. We all pretty much knew that it was going to be delayed tomorrow, at the very least, to give the sun an opportunity to get out and shine on the hills and hopefully melt any ice on those hills. Our town is basically hills. I've told people before, you're either going up a hill, down a hill, or you're driving toward a hill. But either rate, there's a hill involved. We've got some fabulous stoplights in the middle of hills, in the middle of an incline. Those are great. Alright, now that we've done our 3 rows, we're going to get on with our mowing. I was telling folks during the pre-show I found a good method to mow in these fields with this particular mower, because this mower will pick up cut product and relay it down. So driving over a windrow basically makes a mess. So I've figured out that if you make 3 headland laps and then bale that up, Then you can make your up-down passes and have ample room to turn around without having to worry about driving over your windrows. Dale the Gamer, how are you doing? I'm doing great. How about you? Who remembers the old ads with that gamer dude? He used to say, "Dude, you're getting a Dell." Those for Dell computers. I don't even know how long ago that's been. It's probably been more than 10 years ago, and it's definitely showing my age. That something 10 years ago does not feel like it's been all that long. Will, what's up? I bet you Will remembers the dude. You're getting Adele commercials. Let's turn this on. Yeah. Okay. Just turn it. It's not gonna work tonight. 2005. Oh my gosh. 20 years ago? Are you telling me that 20 years ago? That is seriously show me age. Oh, Giants is at Alma. Or are they not? This particular mod is the Swather thing, isn't it? Let's get the real name. Let's get the real name of this thing. The Swather Pack. That's what it is. It's called the Swather Pack. It's over at the Giants Mod Hub. And you can get it in case. Challenger, Heston, Massey Ferguson colors. It will mow grass or condition it into hay. I am 100% not going to be there. That's in the UK. Sorry about that, bud, but no, I'm not going to be there. I just don't have the resources to be internationally traveled. Hope you do enjoy yourself, though. Victor, I prefer a more realistic approach while at the same time taking liberties of realism where it benefits. Well, Deli Gamer, it's more that I've got 2 kids and a wife and plenty of expenses, and I've already got 2 trips planned in the next 3 months. We'll be going to the National Farm Machine Show in Louisville, Kentucky in 1 month, actually. From now, we'll be in Louisville for the National Farm Machine Show. We're going to be covering that. Show you guys video of these real-life implements and how big they are compared to maybe what one might think they are based on the game. Because, man, some of this stuff is huge. Huge compared to what you might be thinking it looks like. And then I will be back at PAX East in March. We were there last year with Giants. I don't know if Giants is going to be at PAX East or not in Boston in March, but we're going to be there. That'll be me and my son will be going to that. So yeah, at the National Farm Machine Show last year, they had a slurry tanker. The tires on the slurry tanker were so massive. There were people literally laying inside the rims of them as if they were like hammocks. They weren't squished in either. They were just laying there very, very, very comfortably. Like the tires were at least 6 feet high, 7 feet high, just on the tanker, let alone how big the tank was. This stuff's ridiculously huge. I don't know what pulled that. It was in the building. It was in the building. In fact, let me pull something up. Give me a moment. Give me a momento. So we did, here's my supercut. You want to watch my supercut? Or I have 1, 2, 3, I have 4 episodes or 1 giant supercut of all of them. We'll just link to the supercut because it's 3.5 hours of National Farm Machine Show. Now, of course, you need to watch this after the stream, right? And if you're paying attention, you'll see a reflection reveal going to be trying to cover a little bit better this year, and I'm hoping to talk a couple sales guys into some interviews when they're not busy. And I hope Giants will be at PAX East. I think it was a really good show for them. But we don't know if they're going to be there or not. But we'll be covering that. Also, at a minimum from just basically what the games are there, I want to try to get my son to do an interview series at PAX East where he has a 10-year-old conduct some interviews with some game developers and ask some questions and makes comments on what a 10-year-old thinks of their products. All right, get to bed early. Well, I guess it's late for you now. Get to bed, and yeah, I'd love to hear back how the show went. If Giants was showing off anything cool. Definitely, if you get an opportunity, challenge Farmer Cop and DJ Go Ham to a bale stacking contest. What about multiple monitors? Oh yeah, the 1050 is huge. How about the sprayers? I mean, some of these self-propelled sprayers. Where are they at here? Right? Like this thing. Right? Like that's like 7 feet off the ground. There were full-grown humans, full-grown men are just walking underneath the thing and having plenty of clearance between them and their head. Right? Chad, what's up? How are you doing, sir? How are you doing? Oh, that's all right, Victory. That's all right. Everybody gets to play the way they enjoy, right? There's no wrong way to play other than a method for which you, as the player, do not enjoy. But yeah, in general, I like to deal with bales. Here in the States, farmers basically deal with bales a lot. So, as with lots of people, we like to reproduce and replicate what we see in practice. And we're making round bales simply because I gotta make round bales for silage anyway. So we might as well just make round bales for everything. I saw some big square bales going through town the other day. There was like 3 trailer loads and it had like 9 bales each. I want to make sure that thing's not going to roll down there in the pond. and we lose a bale. Chasing squirrels. Squirrel season's still in. So, Richard, we have the twine add-on. And this baler is twine add-on compatible. And the twine add-on, you'll see down the lower right, adds a new fill type to the baler. We have 1,292 meters worth of net wrap, I guess. And we can pick brands. So we go to mods and DLCs. We have the net wrap add-on and the twine add-on. Right now we're using the net wrap. So the net wrap add-on, right, includes all these balers that are compatible with the net wrap, right? We've got this one. And then we have different wrap. So we have Kloss wrap, Fendt, John Deere, Krone, Kuhn, right? Massey Ferguson, that's what we're using. And then you can see the different bales that we can buy. So we can buy Kloss bales, Fendt, John Deere, Krone, different shades of red. So it just adds a consumable. I would love if there would be a plastic, right? The plastic wrap. I wish that also had a consumable that you had to refill. So we're at 51%. We're going to need to refill that by the end of the day. And you basically buy a pallet. The pallet includes lots of rolls, and you just go back and I think you get 2,500 meters worth of wrap per roll. And each bale uses up, I don't know, something like 30 meters. It feels like a lot. Victory, I guess my top want or desire for whatever the next farm sim is would probably be buildable buildings. Constructible buildings, we'll call it. So when I say constructible buildings, right, I'm not talking about simply going in here and picking this shed, right, and putting it down somewhere. No. Or maybe this shed would be a better example. This shed would be a better example, right? I'm not talking about just plopping this shed down for $192,000 or $44,000. What I'm talking about is plopping down a foundation where you get a concrete slab, and then you have to deliver to that concrete slab lumber and maybe metal rolls if we're just going to use the platinum expansion production fill types. And just like the roller coaster, just like the boat, just like pianos on the premium Zielonka map, as you deliver products and goods, your building gets constructed. And then once it's built, you have a shed that you can use on your farm. So imagine a homesteader playthrough on a wilderness map where you basically start with a chainsaw and a pickup or something, you know, pretty basic. It's been done in nauseam by various creators, except you build your own log house, and then you build your own your machine shed, a little storage shed for your equipment, and then maybe you build a little chicken coop with logs and lumber that you make, and then you build a little cow pen. And as you expand and as you grow, you can build bigger things. A true homesteading, as opposed to just simply, you know, plopping down a house and plopping down a barn. To take that platinum production, that platinum construction mechanic, and just completely and utterly just blowing it out, further refining it. It would only force you to embrace logging if you wanted to. Right? If you wanted it that way. Like, let's say, you know, if you wanted to put this house down in its pre-built form, sure, you could for $55,000. But let's say you wanted to build it, so maybe you put the foundation down for 10. And then you have to deliver all the goods. And then once you've delivered all the goods, then it gets built. Right? And I'm sure there'll be min-maxers that'll try to figure out, is it more cost-effective to build the pre-built building, or is it more cost-effective to go out and do the lumbering? But that's not how I play. I don't really give a flying hoot. The easiest or cheapest or most effective way to do something. I just want to play. I just want to do it. Ryan, what's up? How are you doing? I'm doing pretty good. We're gonna hang out, bale some hay fields, see how many bales we get. So far we're up to 36 bales made tonight. And we've covered a whole two fields. I've got 3 more to go. So that would be my top want. I'd like to see orchards. Root orchards show up. I'd like to see rice. I wouldn't mind there being an Asian themed map as a base map within authentic rice cultivation and harvest machinery, as well as maybe machinery and crops that are kind of authentic to more of an Asian, Japanese style region. I'd like to see more American machinery for sure, given my nationality of choice. Well, I don't know if it's really a choice, but given my nationality, it'd be nice to be able to have the ability to configure either EU or North American, basically, signage on any and all vehicles. But honestly, I feel we're at a point in time where, while it'd be nice to see more niche brands come to the game, there's so many vehicles, so many brands already in the base game product, and now with the 9 DLCs that we've had over the last 2 years, that it feels like really anything else is yet another brand, right? Yet another mower, yet another baler, yet another harvester. That's nice and fine and dandy. What's it bringing as far as new gameplay elements, right? Although I would like to see Gleaner, right? Gleaner harvesters would be nice. More classic machinery would be nice, but I also know that that's not where the brand's minds are at. Their minds are, Farm Sim is a marketing product for them and their brand. Somewhere, somehow, someone might buy a tractor or a harvester or a mower or a planter because it was in the game. And as such, it's more marketing than anything else, and no one wants to market stuff from the 80s, 70s, or further back. Yet at the same time, it is something that the players really, really, really want. And I think at that point, it's really up to Giants to encourage the brands to license some of that, some of their more classic, well-loved pieces of machinery and vehicles. You know, maybe, yeah, we get a 2024 harvester from John Deere, and maybe at the same time, we also get a classic farmer favorite from the 1970s, whatever that might be. Kind of throw the player a bone by giving us the latest stuff. That's what the brands want, and then some more older stuff, classic stuff, which is what a lot of the players want. Well, I think we're going to get more American stuff as, again, the Chicago Giants office is further brought up to speed with staffing and such. You know, we are like 3 years behind where Giants had kind of envisioned their North American office being at, because of COVID delays and everything. The big wigs over in Germany couldn't come over to do what they wanted to do, to look for office space and everything, until that was kind of over. We 100% now have a Giant software office in Chicago. Last I heard, they were hiring for an events coordinator to coordinate events like PAX East, if they are indeed going back to that this year or not. They could hire some brand I don't know what they might want to call it. Some brand employees that go around to various American farm machinery brands and talk to them about the game, introduce them to the game, and see about adding their products in, if they'd be interested in that or not. Right now that's all pretty much done from the European office, which is why we see most of the European models and such. All right, I'll be right back. Hold on a minute. Okay, we're back. I had to let somebody out of the studio. It's easier to make bales if you're in cab. You can see where you're driving. Dynamic ground would be interesting as long as it didn't break the ability to create fields. I think that's a big, that might be the big hang up, is that any and all previous attempts at such would have required Giants to maybe eliminate the ability to create fields, and or just flat out introduced issues with field creation and dynamic ground. While not necessarily a one-to-one comparison, we had, you know, cattle and crops, which had dynamic ground, but also that was only if you were in a field. If you were outside a field, it was you were driving on concrete, right? There was no give to the ground. And in cattle and crops, at least at the point where development stopped, there was never the ability to modify field shape, size, or add fields to the only map that ever existed for cattle and crops. So if you had to pick between the ability to create, modify fields, and dynamic ground, which would you hold as the thing of choice? I think a lot of players would say, I want to be able to customize and make fields, right? Maps like No Man's Land, Western Wilds, Nowhere, Kansas, other wilderness maps, and it wouldn't be possible. Or they'd be made, but no, I mean, it would just be mowing grass because we wouldn't have that capability. Yeah, Mr. Quigley, nut farming would be cool. Orchards and nut farming. Before we get too far into the jazz, this video is brought to you by UTB and Chad Bergman. Thank you for being farm barons. Don't want to forget the those that have given back to the channel on a regular basis with that. Rabbit Rob, what's up? I mean, I would like to see llamas. Llamas would be fun to be added, just as an alternate animal that gives wool. Yeah, I don't know how far we need to go down the farm animal rabbit hole. Farm cats would be cool, because then possibly you could implement a rodent mechanism to where if you didn't have the proper ratio of cats to grain bins or cats to amount of grain stored or hay bales or whatever, then you would have a rodent problem and you would just spontaneously lose crop. 1% of your crop has been lost now due to rodent infestation. Right? That would be kind of neat. Parasites. Crop blight would be interesting. True grass drying in field. Well, what do real life farm dogs do? Pretty much nothing. I mean, maybe they chase off coyotes, foxes, or other predators that might be after your chickens. So if you have chickens and you don't have a dog, maybe periodically a chicken goes missing. Maybe that would be the gameplay. Rev, I think part of that, though, is the fine line between simulator and accessibility to the average Joe, right? I call it gamification. And for all I know, that may be a real term. It may not be a real term. It may just be something I pulled out my rear. But when I talk about gamification, I talk about taking something legit, like driving a tractor, baling hay, driving a semi, for example, in American Truck Simulator, and basically dumbing it down a bit and incorporating it into a game that is accessible to the general populace. Making it such, right, that those from the city folk can experience virtual country life, right, with Farming Simulator, and not have the realities of country life, like having to grease your machinery constantly. Like, oh, before you can take your seeder out to seed, well, we need to spend 2 hours now greasing it and doing maintenance on it. And make sure you set the seed plates to the right seed and get that right set for the depth of the planting and all of that jazz, right? So we gamify it, right? We make one universal seed, the seed to rule them all, right? Now, of course, there's mods to bring that reality back, and you have to put the right seed in the seeder in order to seed a specific crop. But you know, making animals more realistic, maintenance being more realistic of a mechanic, seasonal cycles, right? They dumbed down seasons pretty substantially from FS 19 and 17 to implement it base game into 22. It's frustrating, but I know why they did it, right? They did it to to make it a bit more approachable to the general player base. And the way Generous has typically done that is make things be turned on and off. Right? So it's a fine line between satisfying the simulation crowd. This is a simulator. It needs to be as real life as possible to the casual player. That's where modding really comes in well. Right? But I get it. There's lots of folks that would like to be able to move their animals from one pen to the next. And me being someone who the wife says is very literal, I'm like, well, you can already do that because you just put animals in a trailer and move them to the next pen. Right? But that's not what they want. That's not what they're talking about wanting to do. That may literally be moving your animals from one pen to the next, but it's not the mechanic that they're looking for. Right? The mechanic that they're looking for is to, let's say, have two adjacent animal pens, animal pastures, and to be able to basically open the gate and have the animals go from one pasture to the next. And maybe they graze that pasture out of grass, and they need to move it to another pasture so that there's product, there's grass in there that they can eat and such. Well, there's kind of a mod now from GTX, or friend of the channel GTX, that does that, but that's a script-based mod, so that's only available for PC players. Going along the lines of the buildable buildings, constructible buildings, I guess I should call it. Customizable and completely placeable animal pastures. So I want to be able to paint like I can in this, right? I want to be able to go to, we can go here, we can paint, right? And I can paint whatever I want, right? If I wanted to paint asphalt in here, I could. I'm not going to. Then we have some maps where you can paint fields, right? We've all done that. I want to be able to paint a cow nav mesh. Or maybe we go in here and we go to fences and I draw a fence and I draw a square or a triangle or a trapezoid, a rhombus, whatever shape I want to draw. I draw an area, and that area, when I draw it in, becomes the cow nav mesh. And then I come in here, and then I come in and I place, let's say, the water trough. I want that to be right here, plop. Right? And I want the food trough, then I want that to be over here. Plop. And then I want we already have the mechanic with the manure heap, right? I want the manure to be over here. I want slurry to be over here. And I want to put a barn in, right? So I want to put that over here, right? And now suddenly I have 100% custom cow area. 100% custom. We kind of have that capability now because we can put down a cow building, put down a pig building, and then I can decide where I want a slurry tank to be or where I want a manure heap to be within a certain distance from the animal pen. This is just taking that and turning it up. Turn it up a notch. Just saying, why not be able to place where your feed trough is? Why not being able to decide if you want or if you need to water your animals or not. If you want to have a beef farm, a cattle farm, you don't do milk, well then you don't put down a trigger that does milk. And then you'll never get milk out of those cows, right? Victory wants a natural disasters functionality. I think Victory needs to see my Hurricane Marjorie episode, where Emerald Coast was a total loss and we had to rebuild it. Okay. There are 50 bales. So you guys are hardcore. You guys are seriously hardcore. That's all I can say. All right, while we are mowing, let's do one more little bit of housekeeping business as we come close to the top of the hour, halfway through the stream. That is that this channel has partnered up with a pre-built gaming computer provider called Apex Gaming Computers. You may have seen them. Here we have the FARMER-KLEIN Apex gaming page. It's linked down in the description below. Today they've got a special 25% off with the code MLK for Martin Luther King Day. And once again, I feel that the Homesteader configuration, the medium configuration, is probably the best bang for the buck with this setup. Right now, 1372 with the MLK code. I don't know how long that's going to last. It may end at the end of the night, so your time may be limited. But at any rate, we get a 12th gen 12600 Intel processor. I believe that is a 10-core processor. We have 16 gigs of memory, liquid cooler, 3060 Ti, which is still a very, very viable video card. It's going to do well for lots of games, including Farm Sim. 512 gig NVMe drive, 750 watt power supply, so plenty of power to upgrade when you do want to upgrade, and of course Windows 10. We also have the Yeoman configuration starting out at $1349, and the Rancher configuration. Yeoman is available for $1,012, I guess I should say, and the Rancher configuration with a 12900 KF and 4060 Ti for $2212. Again, Apex Gaming Computers, you're going to find them down in the description. See, Will, I'm kind of split on my thoughts about basically watering fields using a sprinkler system or irrigation. That's the word I'm looking for. Basically irrigating your fields. Most of that is, of course, based on growing up and really not seeing irrigation, right, in the rural Maryland farmland. Even here in my area in Virginia, irrigation is very, very rare to see. So for me, irrigation isn't that big of a deal. But I know that there are areas of the country that are heavily dependent upon irrigation, where if they didn't have irrigation, they wouldn't have farming at all. And there's other areas where it's more prevalent, but still somewhat of a, you know, kind of an optional thing. So yeah, I mean, around here, if you get a drought, you get a drought. You basically got to deal with having a pretty bad crop. So again, you know, we are a byproduct of our experiences. So if irrigation is a common thing where you are, or the types of farm tubers you follow and things like that, then you're going to be more into that. It would be nice to have, like, you know, soil moisture and have that play into things. We had seasons in 19 that took soil moisture a little bit into account with respect to germination. If it was too dry when you planted or seeded, then maybe you had a lower germination percentage and your fields were a little splotchy. You know, things like that. I was hoping we would have different types of fertilizer in 22, and basically certain types of fertilizer would be used for certain crops. Right, like we would use one type of fertilizer for, let's say, corn, and we use a different type of fertilizer with a different chemical makeup for our cereal crop, as an example. So yeah, I think like mud in fields is maybe a regional thing. Growing up, if it was wet, we just didn't go out and do field work. Right? There was no getting your tractor stuck in mud because there was no doing farm work when it was muddy. And then also in no-till land, right? Well, you have a different type of mud than if you work the soil a lot. And we got rocks galore, right? So I also know that, you know, out in the Midwest, the rocks are much, much less plentiful. Drainage is much different than it is here on the east. And as a result, I guess you can get yourself caught out in some pretty bad mud. Yeah, Rev, I know growing up we had a liquid tank on the farm that had nitrogen in it. And I know we would spray that on our cornfields. That was the only crop that we would put nitrogen on. There's other crops that we put other fertilizers on, but that's the only one I would ever recall my grandfather going out and spraying with the nitrogen mix was on corn. In 19, we had seasons with crop rotation. So you would plant one crop after a different one, and depending on which crop was in before, or which two crops were previously in the field, would somewhat judge your maximum yield of the next crop. And if you did the crop rotation right, you could get a yield bonus. If you did the crop rotation wrong, then you would have a yield penalty. Karam Gaming, thank you for coming by and lurking. Thank you for coming by and lurking. Today when I'm done mowing this, I want to go pick up some bales. I want to show you what I did in town. I put down some greenhouses in town on a little buildable site on the other side of the tracks. That way I can add more tomatoes to my ketchup factory. Does anybody remember what the recipe is for the pizza place? For some reason, I feel like ketchup was somehow involved. So yeah, I guess you could say I've got a pretty good wish list of things I would like to see added. I'd like to see just kind of more further refinements into seasonal cycles as well. You know, the first foray of seasons with FS22 is nice. Let's see it further refined in whatever comes next. Hopefully we see something new come this fall. point, we'll just have to wait for an announcement. So we've baled these two fields. We've got this one, and that one. Left. So this is our second largest field. We've got a small one back there behind the tree line. Field 37, and then we have a longer one right there on the other side of that tree line. 36. How's the weather where you all are located? We're getting our first snow of the year. Our first snow of winter. With any actual accumulation. Honestly, I'm expecting work to be delayed in the morning. As a result, just to give the time for the sun to come out and shine on the roads, shine on the parking lots, shine on the sidewalks to help melt away any ice that would have formed overnight. We had light snow all day with temperatures getting up to around 38. So the ground has a nice water layer between it and whatever snow has fallen on top of it. So the worst ice is the ice you never see because it's covered up. So I think tonight it's going to be pretty stable temps. Just below freezing. Tomorrow night, though. Tomorrow night they're calling for temps in the low teens or lower. But we'll likely rebound almost immediately back up to temps in the mid 40s. I mean, one thing we didn't have to deal with was we didn't have animals. So we didn't have to deal with trying to feed them in the wintertime and all of that mud. What type of maps do we have coming out? Any word on pending releases of things? All right, there we go. One more pass to clean this field up, and then we're done mowing. Fraser Valley map. Just down the road. We're gonna sneak through here. To our next grass location. I said I wanted to pick up some bales. I want to show you in town the my new greenhouse location. See our current supply of bales. We've been whittling down the silage and hay and straw. A couple loads of TMR every day. I think we have about 80 silage bales and 69 hay bales over there. What's up, Dark One Gaming? Well, I look forward to that map's release then, so I can check it out. See what it's got going on. It's almost 4 o'clock in game time. There, it is 4 o'clock. Just trying to figure out how much money we were making per hour. Went up at least $1,000. Here we go. Alma's on your list, huh? Yeah, so we made a couple changes here to this farm from how it was delivered, but nothing that really can't be replicated in your own gameplay if you like it. So there were some decorative bales down here where I've got these bales stacked. I cleared those out of the way and I put kind of a road or a riverbed gravel down. Same thing over here where I had these greenhouses. We had some deco bales. We had some farm trash where these bins are. I put those down and decorated around them a little bit. Everything else is pretty much as delivered. Then I wanted to show you the greenhouses I put down here in town. I think this map has, in my opinion, are you serious? Just move it. Just get on with it before I fork the back of your car. I think this map has what I would call the best main street of an American map. Right? Just gives you that old small town main street feel as you come here through town. And here we have the next set of greenhouses. I bought this land and we put what, 5 greenhouses down. I did that, I think, yesterday. Good morning, David. How are you doing today? How was your first day back to work? First day of your last week. Then we're right here on the map edge, but you know, you can't tell. Oh, it's a struggle bus. I think we'll get about $10,000 for a load. $9,000. Let's head back and we'll start baling some more. Lord Hadiz, thank you for the sub. If you're in chat, say hey. We'll say howdy doody back. We really should check contracts to see if we have some massive paying out fertilizing contracts again. There you are. Howdy doody, sir. Thank you for the sub. Hope you're enjoying the stream as we just chill out and hang out. That's what we do here. We have a mellow time. As I've told my son, don't yellow my mellow, man. Usually I say that like, you know, when I grab a mellow yellow. Which, if you're not familiar, is a citrus soda they sell here in the States. Don't yellow my mellow, man. Hope you enjoyed my dad joke of the night. Lemon crush. I don't know about a lemon soda. Has it got lime in it? Lemon lime like Sprite or 7-Up? Light on the fizz so you can slam it down fast. Tuki, maybe you can import it. I don't know how much it'll cost David to ship you a case. It might be awful expensive. How about who's had death water? Who's drank some death water? I had death water a while back. It was not so nice. But I'm not a fan of carbonated water. Yeah, it's just it's heavy on the name and very light on the product inside. Yeah, I'm not a giant fan of sparkling water. It's got a flavor to it. Well, Chad, it's still a good soda, I think. It's not like it's not available still. Now, something else that's really good is if you get the real sugar Mountain Dew. Not the Mountain Dew that's sweetened with artificial, but if you get Mountain Dew that's sweetened with real sugar, oh, that's some good stuff. I like to watch the Tri Channel, and the Tri Channel did a Death Water or Liquid Death video last week, I think. Apparently they have a non-fizzy Liquid Death, which is just water in a can. But the can art is the can art's fun, right? If you didn't know what it was, I think you could really fool some people and thinking you were drinking something hard. Oh, that's got too much sugar, but you'll buy the real sugar Pepsi instead. Sparkling ice? I've never heard of this sparkling ice. kind of fancy ice do you people have out there? Sparkling ice keeps your soda from going flat when you add ice to it. Is that what it does? I hope Dwayne's not saying real sugar Pepsi is good stuff. I thought Pepsi was just too sweet. Now around here they sell what they call Mexican Coke, which is Coca-Cola that's got real sugar in it. It's also served in a real glass bottle still. That goes down super smooth. Yeah, back in the day where they had all those sports athletes that would do Coke commercials, and they'd basically be chugging a glass bottle of Coke, and I sit there and I think, how in the world do they do that? Because it burns the living hell out of your throat. Well, not so much if it's real sugar Coca-Cola, then it doesn't burn. Now, I suspect in the commercials, they're just drinking colored water. You know, that's the way they do things. Just like pretty much every food commercial has zero edible food in it. We should all go on a campaign. The Not As Pictured campaign, where we revolt and refuse food that is not as pictured. You know, you order something off the menu and there's a picture and you see what supposedly you're going to get. And then what you get on the end is really not pictured. You're like, no, that's not what I ordered. I ordered this picture. Go back and make something that looks like this picture. We're going to need to top off our net wrap here soon. Down to 12%. I still need to get back into Wreckfest, do a little career mode. Got sidetracked Saturday and Sunday. Didn't get in at all. Right, I gotta upgrade some of my stuff. Walter, I've never heard of Ale 81. We'll say the first time I heard of Starry was at the National Farm Machine Show last year in Kentucky. I honestly thought it was a regional drink. And I had some at the farm show just to see what it was all about. That's pretty darn good. Pretty darn smooth. And then I found out that Starry was just Sierra Mist, yeah. I was like, oh. Let's go back here to the farm. We'll top off our net wrap. Well, I think Sprite to me burns, right? When you take a drink of Sprite and you swallow, it's like it just burns your throat. Whereas Starry is much smoother. Right? Goes down smooth, no burn. So there we have our rolls of net wrap. 2 rolls left in the pallet. So we filled up our baler, 2,500 meters. I'll have to try to remember to look for it next month when I'm back in Kentucky. Because we'll be back. I'll be back next month. This time we'll be in Louisville. Anybody that can make the trip would love to meet up with you. Both at the farm show and afterwards. That Raznak fellow is supposed to be joining me for a couple of days. Yeah, I was saying earlier, I wish net wrap, twine, and the silage bale wrap. I wish they were all consumables that you had to refill. Well, Genetic, if you can make a day trip, that would be awesome. I put cruise control here. The show is from February 14th to 17th this year. That's the website. You learn more information. Like I said, I'm going to be at this show taking video once again of all the huge machines that are there. Hopefully you get a little bit of a different perspective this year as opposed to last year. Last year I held the phone. All the coverage I did last year was from my cell phone, and I just held it, right? This year I've got a gimbal. Picked that up before I went to PAX last year, so we'll use that. I didn't have any sort of microphone set up last year. I've got that to add this year. So hopefully we can do a little bit of a interview series with some of the brands. What makes their product stand out from the others. Now the net wrap add-on, it does add a little bit of time to your baling, because once you finish on a bale, then it has to wrap it. Then it ejects the bale. But it's all good. So we're at $23.49, and then after we wrap the next bale, we're at $23.11. So 38 meters of wrap. Feels a little excessive to me. Yeah, I got the Bob Barker mic at the mic stick. We'll call it the Bob Barker mic, but it's not really. I've got the little square Rode mic that you'll see some folks wearing. And then there's a handle that's probably about 10 inches long that it sits on top of. Well, maybe. I mean, if it's 15 meters per wrap, then I guess it goes around just over 2 times. Right, I mean, we don't see it wrapping. I mean, I would assume that the guy that made the mod would know what a bale would consume. You know, I think if you went to all the trouble, right, to make it and make a bunch of different branded wraps, that you would have that. So we're making 150 centimeter bales, right? Whatever that comes out to be. So not, oh, that's like 5-foot bale. I don't know how tall we are supposed to be as players. Our camera. So 150 centimeters is what, 1.5 meters? So 60 inches would be 5 feet. But at any rate, a pallet of net wrap goes a long way. We made 527 bales, and we're still working off our first pallet of net wrap. I mean, it's good enough for government work. Yeah, when the government does work. Right. Speaking of that, we got what? Tax time is upon us. About this time next month, I'll be trying to figure out, do I owe or do I pay? Or do I pay or do I get money back, right? Yeah, we won't. Work won't be printing RW2s until last minute, right? Deadline is what, November 30th? So they'll be running the process on November 28th. And then when it doesn't work, they'll call us. They'll freak out. They'll be like, oh my God, I gotta have this stuff done before the deadline. We need to get this working. And we'd be like, well, why did you not try it earlier this month? I mean, you only had all month to do it. Well, it wasn't due yet. Whatever. Now, the good thing is I get to deduct all my PAX East expenses this year. I get to deduct my National Farm Machine Show expenses from last year, this year. They were both, guess what? Business trips. Indeed. Indeed. What's the quick baler mod do? Is that a mod that lets you like bale at full speed or something? I would have a hard time, like, you know, driving in the right line. Oh, it's not too bad. Well, I mean, for my simpleton YouTube business, it's not too bad. If I was running a real shop, that would be different. Nick, what do you think about Elm Creek? I liked Elm Creek. That was the first map we played on. I gotta figure out. I use H&R Block's tax software. I gotta figure out if I can deduct mileage. I drove 1,200 miles to Boston and back, and Louisville was, I think, maybe 800 miles. Well, it's not the same people that are crying, Will. There's the fast farming crowd that just want to get it done as fast as possible so they can go off and do something else as fast as possible. And then there's others like me that just, you know, just want to go at my own pace, which is chill farming. Speaking of chill farming, we've got our merch shop, explanation FK merch. Got some new designs up. It's worth checking out. One of them's I'd rather be farming. We've got the tractors make me smile stuff. And a into the fields to retain my sanity product line. I mean, we also have variable bale capacity mod, right? You can up the bale capacity, so instead of making 6,500 liter bales, you can make, I don't know, 25,000 liter bales. So you make less bales. They just have more in them. But I'm not using that because I'm trying to mix PMR, and well, it's hard enough finding the right mix ratio when you got bales of different capacities, let alone the high capacity bales. I don't have a log, but I mean, I know the only trips that would be business use would have been to Louisville and back, and would have been to Boston and back. So it's pretty easy to establish mileage of those two. So it's not like we're talking about, you know, mixed use over the year, constant mixed use. Basically, I'll just go through the H&R Block software interview and we'll see what it says. don't know if they'll ever change the setup so it's always based on liters. Maybe. Right? We have miles per hour versus kilometers and stuff, but still things in the shop are still listed as meters, right? But it's always a possibility to do it. I think we're in the minority in a global market. We're in the minority, so there's that also. What's up, Schultz? Yeah, David, I heard about that. Straw harvest this month. Well, the month is officially halfway over. Well, David, correct is a matter of perspective. And currently, my perspective is not on leaders being correct. Dwayne, I couldn't go to Canada. I'm not nice enough. My nice fuse is about a 0.5 millimeter long. And then it's burned up. Well, I mean, one thing is depends on what you're measuring, right? I mean, I can think of some things that if you're a guy and you're measuring things, you're going to want to go with the unit of measurement that makes the biggest number. Which reminds me that I get a kick out of women's clothing sizes. They're just arbitrary numbers that don't really correspond to anything. Whereas men's clothing sizes are like literal measurements. It's like, you want to know what size pants to wear? I don't know. Take a measuring tape, run it around your waist. There you go. Right, we can't be bothered with these obscure numbers. Alright, well, we didn't get 200 bales made in 2 hours. Not with the round baler. Not with having to mow. But we got 3 out of 5 fields baled. I'll work tomorrow to get the rest of these baled up. Hopefully we will, hopefully I won't be working tomorrow. I'm hoping they'll call it off. I mean, they called off today with nary a dusting on the ground. Tonight we're going to get more than that. So hopefully I'll have plenty of time to do that tomorrow. I plan on the next time we'll be back here in Alma, it'll be time to harvest our wheat that we planted. I ran all my wheat down to the flour mill. So this wheat we're going to hold on to for a while and see. Victory, we usually play it pretty safe and slow. So I have corn in field 40, which is the big field up by the farm. We're going to take that corn and take it down to the flour mill and make cornmeal. And we also have dairy cows, so we're making butter. And this map has a cornmeal bakery capability. So it takes corn flour and butter and makes cornbread. So we're going to do that. We're going to be buying the popcorn factory and probably the corn dryer once we have corn harvested. Right, we own the flour mill because we're processing our wheat in order to make bread, because I had to have the bakery for my cornbread. I put some greenhouses down to make tomatoes so we can start making some money with ketchup. So we're not going super wild with our productions. So we have the bakery where we're making bread, and we'll be making cornbread soon enough. We're making grain, wheat flour. We'll make corn flour soon enough for our cornbread. We've got tomatoes. We're making ketchup slowly. Butter, we're making out of our milk. Right now we are selling all that directly. Then we've got several greenhouses for our tomatoes. We started out with a $1.5 million loan using the loan management mod, and we have 20 years to pay that back. So we have to pay $9,000 a month on our loan. So in order to keep our head above water, we have to earn over $9,000 a month. Thankfully, we're able to do that with the productions that we are currently selling. And then once we start making cornbread, we'll be even better positioned to be profitable. And then as we again move into our popcorn, we'll be even more profitable. Here we have the corn dryer we need to buy. Oh my, that's $100,000. Might be a while before we have that money. And then we have our popcorn plant. 60 grand for that. So we need $160,000 for those. We made $25,000 so far in June. We'll be selling more bales. April was a good month. Made some money there. February was a good month. May, we lost some money because I bought some stuff. We did some contracts and some other things. So we like to play it slow. We like to play it kind of a realistic economy where we don't really cheat in a bunch of money. At least not on this gameplay. We have a total of 2 tractors. We have a harvester and then the mower. We've got a fairly minimal set of farm machinery at the farm. Again, we try to play somewhat within our means to financially support ourselves. And with that, I'm going to say good night to all of you. Thank you all for coming out and hanging out for the last couple hours. I've got to do a little catch up here at the house, see what's going on, and then hit the sack myself. Sugarcane, oh my gosh, watch out for sugarcane. That's a slow grind. If you think baling is slow, sugarcane harvesting is a slowest grind of all. If you're gonna get sugar, then sugar beets is gonna be where it's at. I'm definitely interested to see what straw harvest in FS22 is going to look at as compared to 19 and 17. I much preferred straw harvest in 17 over 19. And I hope they bring back kind of more 17 style stuff than just porting it over straight from 19. Till next time, happy farming.